In the 5 by 5.
Start.
Welcome to 5 by 5, a Retrotopia podcast in which we count down our top 5 lists on any particular topic we decided to talk about. My name is Brian, and with me always is my co-host from America, ladies, Sam. And what is our list going to be today?
Today we are talking about our top 5 worst peripherals. Yeah, this will be fun. I don't like peripherals in general. I think they suck, and I try to avoid them whenever possible. So I've got some
It depends.
venom to spit.
Yeah. We had this discussion about the flight controller stick on PC,
Yeah.
and you were just like, it sucks. And I'm like, but I used it so religiously on Battlefield 2. And
Yeah,
then I caused you to alter your list.
that's not why, because I found a worse one. Although I still like, yeah, that's my honorable mention. Our steering wheels and flight sticks, specifically from the 90s, because computers were so finicky to set up and configure and everything, and everyone knows that you had buddies or whatever, you go to their house and they had like, a joystick that was collecting dust up on the, top shelf in their computer room that hadn't been used since like 1994. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But speaking of honorable mentions, I'm going to go with the steering wheel right now because you brought that up.
Yeah.
I was in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I lived there. And at the Best Buy, they had a setup for Gran Turismo PS4, not the PS5 one.
Mm-hmm.
They had the PSVR and the Logitech G, whatever number they were on at the time, steering wheel all set up with a 5-gear shifter and all that crap. And they had a cockpit built for it.
Oh my God.
That was the best video game experience of my life. It was like literally driving on a racetrack. Everything it was just so spot on perfect. And that's why I can't put steering wheels on the list, is because I had a great experience.
At Best Buy.
At Best Buy, yeah. I couldn't
At least you didn't buy it. It would be one of your worst experiences if you had bought that and hauled it home and then been like, played Gran Turismo and that now it's like just kind of useless.
Well, that's the thing, is I still want to do that with the PSVR 2, and you can still get that Logitech steering wheel. The problem is the steering wheel by itself here is about $500. Then the PSVR is $800. And then, I got the PS5, but I wouldn't want to dedicate my PS5 to switching back and forth. So I'd have to get a second PS5 and then a TV, because you can't just look through the VR system the whole time. You need a TV so people can watch it be awesome.
Yeah.
Just the costs just start adding up.
There was, I didn't get a chance to play with it, but I was at a shipping convention in Long Beach earlier this year, and they had set up one of those like really high end simulators for like a Formula One track or whatever, and people were lining up to play it.
Oh yeah,
cool.
they have that set up in Toronto right now, and a buddy keeps begging me to go down so we can go head off to it.
Yeah, it looked neat, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna. I watched this old guy struggle to try to do like a Y turn to get his car turned around. I was like, no, I'm not gonna mess with this.
Yeah. Give up your license, boomer.
Yeah.
No, there was a steering wheel that cost $1,000, and it was called a Thrustmaster something. It's their highest end steering wheel they have. Yeah, Thrustmaster is a company. And
awesome.
This steering wheel actually had a bunch of gears and pulleys inside of it to give you like near spot on realistic feeling for driving,
So when you're turning and stuff, it probably like rumbles or resists in the right way.
Yeah, it's not that. It's just like it's the haptic feedback you get in the PS5 controller. So as you're turning, it'll give you that feeling like your tires are slipping. If they start like stuttering as they bounce, you'll sit there and the steering wheel will stutter, and it'd feel like you're just down one of the I-95s or whatever highways you got down there, driving way too fast, and all of a sudden your car just slides out of control.
Oh, you're close. We have 94 down here.
Yeah. I don't know. I-95 is the only one I've ever taken. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. The haptic feedback is pretty cool. I have not played a true PS5 game yet, I don't believe, so I haven't gotten to play with that too much on the PS5 controller, but I played Astro's Play Lounge or whatever,
Oh
and that
yeah.
was pretty fun.
Borderlands 3 added the trigger pull to the guns there, so you have that
Oh,
soft spot, and then it tightens up, and then all of a sudden, ka-ka!
oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a great little upgrade to the game. But we're way off topic
Oh
again.
yeah, already as soon as we start, and I was
Yeah,
supposed to reel you in.
yeah, exactly. I was supposed to be
Oh,
sleeping by now.
I failed. Well, if you want to join the conversation, we'll run through this quick. You can find access to our Discord, among other things, at our link tree. It's linktr.ee/Retrotopia.
Yeah, that's Linktree, Facebook, Discord, Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it nowadays. You can email us if you hate us. Link to the podcast show. You can leave comments on the podcast itself to tell Sam how good he looks behind the mic. Everything. But
Sure.
yeah, so today we're talking about the worst peripherals we've ever had. Uh, Out of the ones you picked, or the list of 5 you picked, before we get into it, how many of them did you actually own or use?
Let me see. Just scrolling through here. 2 of them.
2 of them.
2 of them. But I picked ones that I either or have familiarity with or know someone who has had familiarity with them. And
Yeah,
I picked the ones that were I think the most useless. No.
yeah. I did the same way. I've used 4 out of the 5, and one of them a friend bought, and he told me it just absolutely sucked, and then showed me how much it sucked. So I'll get into that. But shall we start with our number 5?
Let's do it.
5.
I love that new effect there.
It's no
Although
banjo.
yeah, I do miss you telling me how much you love the banjo. My number 5 is the Ring Fit for Nintendo Switch. Was released in 2019, and it is still, I think, currently kicking around out there. What the fuck, Nintendo?
Was
This
that a Nintendo game, or was it
it
like a third-party game and they sold the?
no, I think it's a Nintendo thing. Just come on. The running theme for a lot of mine are peripherals that tried to cash in on a fad after it was pretty much past or on the decline. And this is kind of a last ditch, I think, to try to cash in on the Wii Fit craze when that was a thing. And it just, the Wii was its own thing in its own place and time, and we've moved past it. I don't think we need to mix our exercise with our video games. It doesn't work. I don't think that this was incredibly popular. I could be completely wrong. Maybe everyone has a Wii Fit ring you see, I call it Wii Fit because that's basically what it is. But um, who knows? Everyone could have a fit ring except for me. But I mean, they even gave this thing as like a free daily gift you could get in the mail on your Animal Crossing island. So I'm pretty sure on my Animal Crossing island, which I haven't touched in quite a while, there is a Wii Fit ring next to my um, Animal Crossing edition Nintendo Switch that's sitting next to my TV in my Animal Crossing fake room that you can't do anything with. So
Awesome.
it's more useful in Animal Crossing than it is in real life.
Well, just to let you know, as of March 31st, 2023, it sold 15.38 million copies worldwide.
Of
And it's
course it
on the
fucking
list of
did.
best-selling Switch games of all time.
Of course it is. I still think it's dumb. I'm sure of all the 15 million people that bought it, less than half of them use it. It's just sitting collecting dust. Let's be honest. No one
There's
uses
going to
it.
be a guy who's like completely ripped off a Ring Fit. They'll be like, what the fuck did you say about Ring Fit? And then he just
What'd
kicks
you
your
say
ass.
about Ring Fit? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I've seen it, but I've never actually seen it in action. There is one of our friends who streams, and he had it in the background of his stream, and that's kind of where I learned about it, so I looked it up. I didn't know anything about it. We in Canada don't do physical fitness.
Apparently 15 million people beg to differ, but
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
All right. My number 5 is all those plastic attachments you stick on your Wiimote into, and you enhance your game. Like
Mhm.
they have so many. I looked it up because I could only remember the sports pack, but You know, they have grips, they have steering wheels, sword and shield attachments, a sports package, arcade joystick, musical instruments, gun peripherals, all this kind of stuff. But I remember the sports package mostly, where they had a golf club, a tennis racket, a bowling ball, the
Yep.
gun, the steering wheel for Mario Kart, and they were all useless.
Yeah.
Didn't enhance anything. It just it didn't make the controller feel better. It didn't take strokes off your golf game. They were just gimmicks for the kids.
Yeah. They were
So
dog shit.
yeah, and they were so cheaply made too, right? Like, and when you remember when the Wii came out, all of a sudden everybody had to buy the TV protector so that when you biffed it into your
Yeah.
TV, you weren't
Yeah.
knocking it off the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, these things were just hard plastic, so they just kind of enhanced the Wii's ability to knock your $4,000 TV out of commission.
My parents, I think, still have their Wii, and they have a pile of these, like, kind of. Um, I don't want to say they were plastic. I think they were kind of a more dense type of foam material,
Well,
but they still suck.
yeah, the only dense thing is the people who bought these.
Yeah.
Hey, well,
Um,
is there a
as I'm sitting
baseball
here,
bat
there was a.
attachment?
I think there was a baseball bat too.
Okay, because I could use that for that joke.
Um, yeah. As it's funny though, because as I'm sitting here on my desk, I have 2 steering wheels for my Switch. Well, my kids like to play with them, and
I
that's
mean,
case in point.
yeah, kids are fine. Kids like these sort of things.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying that these were for the kids. But you know, you didn't see anybody bringing a golf bag into the living room and pull out the Wii golf club.
No. Yeah, and it's
But
like I bought the first party ones for the steering wheel. The third party ones are like they're really shitty ones where they're just, probably mass produced in China and shipped over in crates full of them and sold
the
at,
first party ones were done the same way, right?
yeah, but this
You think we
the
have
Nintendo one,
manufacturing in North America anymore? God, no. It's all sent over to
no.
China.
But
It's
I mean,
conspiracy.
that being said, I think the Nintendo Switch version of the wheel is a little bit higher quality, but whatever. It's all dumb.
It's a gimmick. All right, moving on to number 4.
4,
All right, my number 4 is specifically all of the not necessarily Guitar Hero guitars, but the Rock Band equipment. Um, you could throw Guitar Hero guitars in there because you could use it with Rock Band, but it's it's all garbage and no one's using it now. You cannot go into a Goodwill thrift store or someone's basement without seeing a bunch of that just sitting in the corner collecting dust. I remember trying to get rid of I never had Rock Band, luckily, but I had Guitar Hero for PS2 and then Xbox 360, and I could not get rid of those things. You would take them to a GameStop and they wouldn't even buy them off of you because they had so many. By the time Rock Band came out, I might be talking out of my ass again because I did play it and it was fun. But um, the whole Guitar Hero fad spiked really hard and declined over a, a long kind of tail where you had Beatles Rock Band, and then you had like Aerosmith edition Guitar Hero and Metallica edition Guitar Hero, and like all these different iterations of full priced games that were basically just add-on packs that I think they would never get away with nowadays. I think you would just be buying these things a la carte. But you don't do that because no one plays these games anymore because the peripherals don't exist unless they're gathering dust in a Goodwill. So Rock Band, pretty useless. I think with all of the time and effort people put into playing Rock Band, they could have started actual bands.
Probably, and you never know. Maybe some people did go out there, start actual bands, but oh man, we used to play Rock Band all the time, and you
Yeah.
know how like usually you get 2 people on guitar and 1 person on drums, and nobody touches the microphone. We had the
Right.
friend. The more drunk he got, the louder he sang, and he just got right into it. And
It's
it was a
funny
great
because
time.
you didn't even need to know the words. You could just kind of like pitch your voice
Yeah,
if
just
you
hum
could,
along.
like just kind of watch that little thing go on the screen and just kind of try to keep it in there and not
Yeah,
say any words.
Oh, it was good little partying game. Get a bunch of people together and just instead of sitting there drinking because they put a fire ban on around, so we couldn't have fire pits. We'd all
Yeah.
just go inside and play Rock Band. And a lot of the friends I played with, well, we had one friend there. His brother was a drummer in real life there, and he went on to the drums on Rock Band there and absolutely destroyed the game. Like,
Well, that's
just
another thing about the drums is like the drums are pretty much a real drum kit. So if you can play the drums in Rock Band, I hate to say it, but you should just go get a real set of drums.
yeah. Do you ever see that South Park episode about Guitar Hero?
Yes, I absolutely
Yeah,
did.
the one there where the kid's he's at the cafe there and he's just like clicking the guitar, and the one guy goes, "Oh, I love this song."
Oh yeah, John the Fisherman. He's like, he could play John the Fisherman. Oh wow, everyone can do that. And he goes, acoustic. And then he just sits there. It's like
Yeah.
click, 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 click.
That's what I think of it nowadays whenever I hear about Guitar Hero and
Yeah.
Rock Band. But I've heard they're actually going to try to bring it back. So more shitty
God,
accessories because your kids are going to want them, buddy. Your kids
please
are going to
fucking
just be
don't.
like, "Daddy, get
No,
us
no,
the
they
Rock
don't.
Band kit.
No, they won't. They don't like cool music.
I want to be Gem in the holograms." Yeah, I'm
Wow,
dating
what a pull.
myself.
Gem in the holograms. All right, what's next, Brian?
All right. Back in the day when I was young and everything was cool because it had speakers and went thump thump thump. There is this thing called the X Rocker gaming chair, and it still exists today. But they have like a stand on the bottom. This one sat on the floor, and it rocked, and it had two speakers in the side, like up at the top in the side of the chair, and then one subwoofer in the back. And this is before Bluetooth existed, so uh, it used a 3.5 millimeter jack that you had to feed into your AVI cables into the back of the system you're playing with across the floor. And then you'd sit there and you'd have all this sound. But the problem with it is that the sound came from behind you. So if you're playing like a first person shooter and you hear gunshots, well, the gunshots are always coming from behind you. So you don't really have spatial awareness.
Oh God.
So yeah, it's I know video game systems like to use the I can't remember what they call spatial sound or something like that to kind of give
Yeah,
you
so this had the sound, but not the spatial
yeah,
sound.
it gives you the sensation of where something's coming from. That's why you can always be like, "Oh, I heard the bullet to the left," and that kind of crap.
Right.
But this chair didn't, and you could hook up your MP3 player or your iTouch. What was that thing called before the iPhone, or right when the iPhone
Oh,
3 came out? But
like
with
an iPod or like iPod Mini or Nano or
yeah, but
Mini, all the
the,
different iPods.
yeah, fuck, there's so many.
So many iPods.
Anyways, yeah, you could hook that up and then you would just turn into a normal speaker. But the reason I have a beef with this chair is I did own a couple of them and I was rocking on it. My dog's tail went underneath it and I rocked right over it and she yelped. And then next thing you know, she was doing that head down. She did something bad, tail tucked between the legs, scared to come near me, and I felt so goddamn bad. So I have like a vendetta against these X rocker chairs.
Fuck you, X Rocker.
Yeah, like come on, my dog, like the poor girl was just sitting beside her, laying down beside me, enjoying life there, and she was happy, and her tail was wagging, and it went underneath the chair, and I did nothing wrong, like I just rocked like I normally was, and it just caught her tail, and I felt the thump.
Oh.
Yeah, so
She
I
just
felt
wagged a
bad.
little too close to the X Rocker. I can
Yeah,
picture this in my head now. Like I just remember all those um I don't know where you'd get them, but like gimmicky like TV chairs where you could yeah, they like rocked right on the floor.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they weren't even comfortable either. That was the other problem is you sit in them there, and your knees are way up high because obviously there's not any place to put your legs instead of in front of you, and it wasn't more than about 5 inches off the ground. So your knees are sitting up, you're uncomfortable, you're looking over everything, and yeah, they're good for about maybe half an hour, and after that, you just had to get out of them.
Yeah, and good luck because you're like on the floor. I don't
Yeah.
know. The old me is like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not gonna get out
Nowadays,
of
I would
that thing
never
easily.
get out of it. All right. Yeah. So that is my number 4. All right. Let's move on to number 3 because I'm crying for my dog.
Yeah.
3,
All right, my number 3 is the bass fishing controller for the Sega Dreamcast, which ran until from 1999 when the Dreamcast was released until the Dreamcast died in 2001. Um, hey Brian, you know where people like to fish?
In their living room.
Outside. Outside.
No, in their living room.
I could see where maybe there was some crossover appeal for for people who enjoy like fishing simulator games. I mean, they've been around, especially in the 3D and the PC era. You know, there's been bass fishing games and such, but man, what a hunk of junk. Honorable honorable mention to the light gun games that attempted to bring like the Buck Hunter games, those arcade games to home consoles, but um this was just horrible. And useless. The thing with these peripherals that I keep harping on is it was only good for one game. Um and you have to really 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 like that game in order to justify the expense of the peripheral, because you can't use it for anything else unless you happen to find a YouTube video of some streamers using the bass fishing rod to play fighting games, which is really hilarious.
It
There's
is hilarious. That,
this guy was
I'd
playing
watch that.
yeah, this guy was playing Soul Calibur with the fishing rod. And
Was
I
he
think
winning though?
there's
Like, was he at least doing good?
he was doing okay. I mean, they were more laughing at it, but he was doing fine. But uh really really useful, or useless hyper specific controller. That's really all I got to say.
I've
On a
never.
console that died, by the way, like really quickly.
Yeah. I never used any fishing accessories,
No.
not even the plastic snap onto your Wii controller fishing rod. So I have no skin in this game. I'm taking your word on it,
Yeah.
100%. That,
Yep.
and I never touched the Dreamcast. I was a Nintendo ride or die. Actually, I was
Yeah, I don't
PlayStation by that point. Never mind.
yeah, I don't think I've played one, but I never had one.
Oh, I've played one. I had a friend who had one.
Yeah.
He said it was the greatest thing in the world, and then a week later it died.
I mean, it was good. It just had
Nah,
some
probably. It has a
issues.
lot of good games that got ported over.
Had some issues. But
Yeah.
what do
Well,
you got?
speaking of accessories that were gimmicky and kind of died real fast, I'm talking about the Xbox Connect for the Xbox 360, then the mandatory one for the Xbox One.
Mandatory. I love
It
that.
was
I
it
remember
was
that.
yeah, because you remember how bad the Xbox One launch was? Like, you can't
Yeah.
share games because fuck you. You always have to have the internet because fuck you.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
have to have this Connect looking at you because fuck you. It's like Microsoft really, like, they
Yeah.
360, they were riding high, and
Mhm.
then they just lost all that goodwill with one console launch.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, everything else was just spot on. It's like, oh, you can plug your TV into it, because why go right to your TV when you can turn on your console and use more power in the house? But it was yeah, the mandatory connect, and it was part of that like PlayStation Move gimmick, and the
Yeah.
Wii coming out at the same time. Everybody was all into the motion controls,
Mhm.
and in theory it seems like a good idea. I mean, the cameras are still being used for things like science, and we have a museum down here that uses the cameras to detect people showing up and starting videos and stuff like that. uh, so there's obvious uses to it. It's just, it was never good for gaming.
Right.
And
Like as a piece of technology, it's pretty cool,
yeah,
but not something that you want to have to like
exactly.
fuck with in your living room.
Yeah, and the one I tried didn't even detect me. I don't know if it's because, I'm a ginger and like my skin is translucent,
Well,
but
you don't have a soul, so
yeah,
it's a soul.
exactly. The infrared camera is just like, who dat? No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
but anyways, God, now I know where you stand. But where was I? Ah, man, you killed my train of thought here. Oh,
Yeah, I
that's right,
really
the
did.
Connect. It wasn't picking me up. Trying to move, play the games, it was just staring at a screen. And then they had this one where you had an animal, and the animal would like or the camera would look at you and project you onto the screen, and then the animal would be playing with you on the screen, meanwhile you're just standing there like touching nothing. It was just such a gimmick. And then when they made it required on the Xbox One, like, I was really into the 360, and I probably would have swapped over to Xbox had the one not just completely shit all over any goodwill the 360 made, because the PS3 really wasn't that great of a console.
Hmm.
Like, it was good in the end, but it was just, nah. Xbox had all the games I wanted at the time. But yeah, I don't know. I have nothing else to say about this stupid piece of kit. Just, I'm glad it died.
Yeah, this is Xbox saying, "Hey, is the Wii popular right now? Hold my beer. Let's
Yeah.
yeah, let's make this piece of shit. Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna finish it off by saying fuck the Xbox Connect.
Yep.
2,
All right, number 2 is where I slotted in the one that I remembered thinking of before, and that's the Tony Hawk Ride skateboard. Who remembers that piece of shit?
Was it Tony Hawk Ride or just Ride?
I think it was specifically a Tony Hawk game, or maybe it was Ride. I don't know. It was a peripheral for skateboarding games it was in the Xbox 360, PS3, Wii generation, and it looked like garbage. It wasn't even. It was just a plastic skateboard or skate deck with no wheels or trucks on it, and I think it was a little bit smaller than a standard size skateboard too. But um, God, watching this guy, I found a YouTube video of some like kind of tech reporter looking at this thing back in 2009 when it came out, and man, was this guy jazzed to be playing with this thing, but it looked so stupid. He's like, look, I did an ollie, and it's like, you're not really doing an ollie, you're just kind of like oddly, and he's like sliding around the room with this thing, and it just looked dumb and not fun to play with. But much like the bass fishing rod that I found a funny video on, I did find a video of a skater that got the Ride skateboard and bolted real trucks and wheels to it, and then like bombed around a skate park with the little Tony Hawk Ride skateboard as an actual skateboard.
Awesome.
And it's way too small, so he was having a really hard time with it. Uh, it held up pretty well, so I guess it was a pretty um, a pretty beefy piece of technology,
Yeah.
but it just was one again a stupid peripheral for one very specific game. Um, and yeah, are you playing with this thing now? No, you're not, because it's dumb. And it's another thing where if you really spent a lot of time on this thing, just go outside and fucking skateboard.
Yeah. What's the one guy say? Touch grass.
Go touch grass.
Yeah. No, I've heard of this. I've never seen it in use. I've never had any interest. Like I love Tony Hawk Pro Skater too,
Yeah,
and there's no way I was going to translate my skills on a controller to going to a skate park.
right. And this is again like Tony Hawk games are kind of on the decline at this point, where maybe not in quality, but like people aren't buying them, or the era had passed of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 through 3. There were other good games in there, but
Well, not even that. It's like the cool borders and all that. There's that, just like the
Mhm.
Rock Band era. There was this extreme sport era as well.
Yeah, there was a skateboard game bubble, and it was on the end of that. And then you look at something like Guitar Hero. It's like, well, what if we Guitar Hero-ize this kind of declining subgenre of games? And it's just stupid. All right, I'm done.
It's okay, Sam. It's okay. All right. My number 2 is the Game Boy camera and the Game Boy camera's printer for the Game Boy. It was released in 1998. It sucked. I've seen it. I've taken my picture with it. I've printed my picture with it. I don't see the point of it. There's games on the cartridge, like little mini games, but
hmm
there was really nothing that it worked with. I think in Japan, when I was reading it, there was a couple of like the Nintendo 64 disk drive and all these other kind of things that it would let you upload your pictures to. But in North America, none of that crap came out, so we never got
Yeah,
to use it. We got a really shitty camera that you had to like occupy your entire Game Boy with. It's not like it was a pass through where you could put in another game and then take a picture, then it would load it to that game or something. No, it was just it occupied your Game Boy, wasted the batteries. The pictures were low res, they're black and white because it's a Game Boy.
yeah.
I believe the pictures are like 64 pixels or something like that. You look like Mario because you're so pixelated. The printer, or sorry, the printer paper was the same thing as receipt paper. It's a thermal paper that it uses heat to just turn it black.
Oh God.
So that stuff was not keepable because that stuff wears out fairly quickly.
Oh yeah, if you keep a receipt around, I mean, they fade unless you like store them in a
Yeah.
box where it's cool or something like that.
Well,
Like if they
exactly.
get
Like,
warm at all, it's done.
yeah, you're done. Absolutely. And I don't think I ever met a kid in my life who brought it to school like kids bring cell phones today going, hey, let's take a selfie.
Yeah.
Like, mind you, selfies didn't exist in 1998. We just called them take my own picture. I had nothing for
Yeah,
that.
plural. This thing always intrigued me because I would see pictures of it in Nintendo Power and stuff, and like gaming magazines, and um, man, or maybe even like in comic books. I kind of vaguely remember some ads for this thing, and it's again like the Kinect, kind of a cool piece of technology if you think about it, but just execution wise, it doesn't really work.
No,
Like for taking it home and having fun with it again and again, like you're gonna probably fuck with this for like a day and be like, well, I mean, it was neat, but it kind of sucks, and I'm not gonna play with it anymore.
yeah, and there's something called Silver and Gold that used the Game Boy camera. And you know what that was, Sam? That is
Yeah, what
correct. It was Neil Young's 2000 album, Silver and Gold. He made the album cover with the Game Boy camera.
did he really?
Yeah, it's not Pokemon. They wouldn't sully
Well,
themselves.
no. What I was gonna say though is I thought that there was some sort of connectivity between Pokemon and the printer, and that's I think I vaguely remember wanting the printer because you could print pictures of your Pokemon that you caught, and I thought that was cool, but uh, I didn't get it, and that was probably for the
No,
best.
yeah, probably for the best. Like, yeah, you had to have a transfer pack to bring it to the 64 disk drive, and again, the 64 disk drive never came out in North America, so yeah, it was pretty useless. The pictures were 128 by 112, four color or four scale color palette. It was wasn't even as good as a camera you could just buy separately, and it cost just as much anyways. But
Oh
yeah,
man, I just looked up this Neil Young Silver and Gold. Is that really made with a Game Boy camera?
yeah, according to
That's
Wikipedia.
that that's awesome.
All right, you ready to do
Um,
number one, or you want to go
yeah.
wax
Let's move
poetic?
on. Or I'm going to go down this Neil Young rabbit hole here. All right, let's go.
1,
All right, this one maybe it's not as fun or as flashy as some of my others, but my number one is the infrared GBA link, or the little link device that came with the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP. I don't know if they came packed in, but you might have had to buy this separately. Um, it never worked. It never fucking worked. So this was a separate device that clicked into the top of your Game Boy Advance so that you could play multiplayer games wirelessly, or in my case, pretty much exclusively to trade or battle Pokemon. It never worked. Never ever worked. Just use a link cable at that point. Like for all the fucking around trying to get this thing to connect to another GBA with one of these things in it, you could just um put a link cable in it because you're sitting that close to your friend anyways. You might as well just use a link cable. It's like, well, you could sit across the same room and play infrared, wirelessly. No, you couldn't. It didn't work that well. Um, I just it sucked. It was the worst thing. And it's a step back because the Game Boy Color had a built-in infrared link cable, and you still had to really kind of like sit pretty close to your friend, but it was built in, and this one wasn't. So it was kind of a step back. Wireless technology was not where it needed to be for this to be a thing that they marketed and sold to us. So that infrared GBA link is my number one, and it sucks, and I hate it. And I don't think I have mine anymore. And by all accounts, I think they are kind of hard to find. So it's probably a collector's item,
That's
but
probably
it's
everybody got pissed off and broke them and threw them out. That's why
just
they're hard
threw
to
them away
find.
because I mean, I'm again, my desk is very cluttered. I have my Nintendo Switch steering wheels, and I also have an actual GBA link cable that works. So get one of those.
And friends, you need friends.
And you need friends. I don't
Yeah.
have friends, but I have two GBAs,
No,
so
there you go.
I can trade with myself. So
Aw.
fuck you all. You don't play with me.
All right, so that was your number one, the infrared GBA link. Mine is a little bit personal. I had to ask my brother about this because he's the one who got it. It is from First time I saw it was in the movie The Wizard. And
Mm-hmm.
directly from Wikipedia, The Wizard is a 1989 American family film directed by Tom Holland in his directorial debut, written by David Chisholm, starring Fred Savage, Jenny Lewis, Beau Bridges, Christian Slater, and Luke Edwards, and it was also Tobey Maguire's uncredited film debut. The Wizard
Wow.
was a movie about an autistic kid. Or it says here, kid with PTSD, but I thought always thought he was an autistic kid. Um,
Okay.
he's going to a video game tournament, and then along the way, they end up seeing this kid pull out this big case. And it's been a while since I've watched the movie, and I only watched a scene on YouTube. But kid pulls out a case, he opens it up, and there it is, the fucking Power Glove for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Released in 1989, discontinued in 1990. That's why it sucks. So
That's
I
a
talk.
very short lifespan.
Oh yeah, that's how bad it sucked. Like my brother, he got this from a paper route contest where he had to collect points and you could buy stuff with the points. And yeah, he brought it home and we are all excited, right? This is the coolest thing. We just saw it in The Wizard. The kid was all awesome. He had his hair all like flared up and, he had that cool 80s kid motif. And we hooked it up, and you have to hook these three sensors to the TV, which, they call them sensors, but they don't work very well. And then you put this glove on and you hook it up to the junction box and you plug it into the Nintendo, and then you got to start programming it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like, well, you can just pick up and play, but then you have to hold your arm out straight. And as a kid, it's not so bad because your arm only weighs like 2 pounds, but you're not gaming for 2.5 hours, 3 hours with this thing on because your arm's going to go numb.
Well, and your hand's gonna get sweaty in this thing. I'm looking at pictures of it. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's one size fits all. So the ends of the fingers are open. So if you have like adult hands, your fingers will protrude through the end. Like if you look at the game manual, you'll see there's no fingers coming out. But there
Yeah.
is,
Oh, yeah. I see that now.
yeah, there's like,
Oh, nothing says cool like fingerless gloves.
yeah, there is a whole bunch of profiles for a whole bunch of different games. You'll see in the movie there, he like punches in something. If you look at the game manual, there's actual games programmed in for like ice hockey and Mike
Mm-hmm.
Tyson's Punch Out RC Pro Am, which is, I think, that or Rad Racer was the game they showed on the movie. But the way he is on the movie, he's acting like he's holding a steering wheel and driving. And that's the kind of idea that they want to give you, is that this thing is like, responsive like you're driving a car. But reality is you're holding your hand out and you're just tilting it to try to
Yeah.
make it to actually move left or right. And again, the sensors are fucking garbage because if you're outside the sensor zone by even like 1 pixel or 1 micro-inch, it doesn't pick it up. So you go down too far, you go up too far. You shake your hand, it has to re-center itself because when you start it up, you have to center it. Oh, the whole thing is just absolute garbage. And the
If you want
fact,
to have a, yeah, go ahead.
oh, I'm
Sorry.
not done yet. Oh, I am
Yeah.
not done. So the fact that this thing actually was sold was mind blowing because there was no specific game it was designed for. So somehow this thing became popular because it was in that movie that showed Super Mario Brothers 3. Uh, it was in another movie. It was in the recent 8-bit Christmas movie, but that was about people wanting a Nintendo as a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
if you've seen that movie, it's about the rich kid who gets the Power Glove, and all these kids gather around his house, and the kid comes outside and he has a Power Glove in the air and everybody's cheering for him. It was the dumbest thing in the world. I get that movie. I actually liked 8-bit Christmas and The Wizard, to be honest, but I think I'm going to give you a moment to talk here while I take a breath.
Yeah, take a breath. There is actually, if you want to have a good time, just Google Power Glove and go through the image search, because there is just some goofy ass shit that people have done with the Power Glove. Again, just much like I mentioned with the skateboard and the Dreamcast rod or whatever, like this is used for only what it wasn't meant for at this point. Um,
Yeah,
I see one where like a crafter has turned the Power Glove into like the Infinity Gem gauntlet. Um, Another one where they turned it into like Freddy Krueger's like hand with the claws. There's people that like mod them to operate like little RC Mario Kart cars and all kinds of weird shit. So what a weird piece of it. Looks cool,
Oh, it does.
but
That was the greatest thing is you could put it on, like you tuck the cable like around your arm and tuck it into your pants or whatever. And then you
yeah,
go outside and you play with it because it looked cool, but it was useless for anything but looking cool.
yeah, it's a weird ass thing
It
that
is
happened.
by the end of its life in our house, me and my brother were just using it as a regular controller because you could actually just take it off and there's an actual controller on the side and you would just use that.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a weird. Oh, and shout out to the video game power metal cover band Power Glove. They're great. Power Glove is good.
Well,
Um
well, there you go.
anyways,
Something good came out of this.
something good came out of the Power Glove.
All right, Sam. I think I have ranted enough, and if I go on about the Power Glove, I think I'm losing my train of thought on it, and I'm just going to end up in this kind of nonsense thing where I just make big circles in my arguments and eventually just stop making sense, like I
Just
am
turn
now.
into like a drooling mess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bleh.
Probably the radiation from the Power Glove.
Right.
It explains why my arm tingles.
Well,
Uh,
we hope you enjoy this episode, everybody. We will just plug the Discord one more time. Come join us over there. It's a fun time. You can find the link at linktree, linktr.ee/retrotopia.
Absolutely. And what should be coming up the episode after this one? Well, we decided to change it up a little bit. It was going to be Paper Mario, but now it's going to be Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door because we both bought it and we both want to play it.
That's right. What about Minish Cap? We got Minish Cap
Well,
coming too.
Minish Cap should be already out by the time this is.
Oh shoot! I don't look at the. I don't look at the fucking
Yeah.
calendar.
Same with
Yeah,
Rondo of
Paper
Blood.
Mario, Thousand Year
Yeah,
Door.
you've already heard Rondo of Blood as well. And the
Oh
Pokemon
yeah.
episode, since I'm Captain Hindsight.
I don't understand how time works. But anyways, if you're listening to this on a Sunday or a Monday, as many of you do, have a great week, everyone. And we'll talk to you next time.